making tender and flaky 3-ingredient biscuits. And our 3 ingredients include 2.5 cups of self-rising flour. We're using self-rising flour because it's milled from a winter wheat, which is a softer wheat, and that gives us a much more tender biscuit. And we're using 1 stick of grated butter, and I recommend frozen butter. I recommend freezing the butter, not just because it's easier to grate. The butter is going to melt, and the water in the butter is going to create steam, and that's going to puff up the layers in our biscuits and make them so flaky. And 1 cup of ice cold milk. I'm going to use buttermilk because buttermilk will yield a more tender biscuit due to the acid in the buttermilk. Make sure you leave your milk in the refrigerator until the last minute because you want this very, very cold. And the only utensil you need is a fork. We're gonna blend this with a fork. Let's add our grated butter. And I'll just go ahead and toss the butter shards with the flour. One of the other advantages to using self-rising flour is that the leavening agents are already included. And now let's pour in our 1 cup of cold milk. I always use frozen butter when I make a pie crust. And one day it dawned on me, why am I not using frozen butter for my biscuits? I'm picking up the dough and very gently squeezing it together. I just fold it over and push it onto itself. And once I have most of it together, I start folding it onto itself and mashing it, pick it up and turn it, and do the same thing. This helps our dough come together, and it also helps create flaky layers. And just rub your fingers together to get that dough off of them. Mash in any remaining pieces of dough. And I've transferred my dough onto a floured surface. A beautiful cutting board. My best friend Mary's husband, Mr. John Moore, made this for me. He's an exceptional woodworker, and he and my best friend Mary are always thinking of me, and I really appreciate it. So you can use a rolling pin. You could also use your hands and roll this out. When you use a cutter, make sure that you dip it in the flour between cuts. But you don't have to use a cutter. You can take a knife and score this. Another secret, you don't twist or turn the cutter. Twisting or turning the cutter will toughen the dough, and we want tender, flaky biscuits. Now you may think this is a small biscuit cutter, and it is. It turns out I got this set of 3. And I found it at a thrift store. All 3 nest together. There's a much bigger one, another pastry cutter. And this is the one that says Biscuit. It says Calumet Biscuit Cutter. Lay your biscuits out on an ungreased baking sheet, touching each other. So you've got 1 dozen, and we are just going to toss this dough back together. Just fold it onto itself and mash it, just like we did originally. Turn it 90 degrees, fold it and mash it. And do this 3 or 4 times until your dough is back together. These are much thicker than the first ones. They're about 3/4 of an inch compared with the 1/2 inch. And take a sharp knife almost to the bottom. And then you don't even have to roll them. So remember, they need to be touching each other on the baking sheet,
and they're going into a 450-degree oven. So one of our square biscuits. Look at the layers. Flakiness. Oh